Good afternoon. It is July 30th, 2021, and today we're looking at another range day. Overnight highs and lows are in yellow. We didn't really come close to those overnight lows. Pretty much for the whole day, we were ranging within the upper half of the overnight highs and lows. We had this breakout early on, and really that was just an attempt to fill this gap. I felt real proud of myself because this is the first time I saw that in real time and spotted that. So prices closed up here yesterday, and they made this very strong move down. And Mac always says that prices will always try and fill those gaps. And you can see, I guess, depending on where you would say the closing is, I have it as this pink line, so it came up a little short. But I think that it probably, maybe the closing price was a little different on other people's charts. So anyway, that's what this rally was early on, and then we had a sell-off, and it kind of just ranging. And really, these were like the highs of the range from about 7:30 on. Not a lot of volume after that, I'm realizing. Really, you just had to trade these short-term trends. There weren't a lot of good range-like entries. But we'll take a look at these trades. So again, we were trying to fill this gap. We hit this bottom in the overnight and just created a range, some congestion, broke out to the upside and formed some congestion here. And if you come in an hour and a half before the open, like Mac does, you would have seen this. And this looks like a second entry long off of making a double bottom here, but you just don't get a good setup. And then you get this higher low, but again, it's not a good setup. And then you get a second entry here. But this is your signal bar, and it's not a good signal bar. So let's make this a little bigger. So we create this this trend channel up. Get a first entry, second entry with a doji. If you spotted this, if you had your trend channel drawn, I think you can take that. It's going into the highs of that channel, but if you were watching this live, you could the EMA was pointing up. You can see prices could barely get below it for a little bit here, but then it was even smaller, smaller break through the EMA here, and then look, they're bouncing. So you had a second entry long here, and I think this is like a double bottom, so you get a first entry, failed second entry short here. But unfortunately, that doesn't trigger until right here. I just entered on this one and put my stop below here, I think. And so, I didn't get triggered anyway until the same bar. But then you get a first entry, second entry long off the trend line. And it was pretty clear that we were either rallying to the overnight highs or to close this gap. And so this is a double bottom here, but I looked at that as a first entry, failed second entry short right here. I entered on this, but I got out at break even because of this doji. It became really congested. It would have worked out, but I didn't like how congested that was. And here you get a second entry long. First entry, second entry. Then we start selling off. We come close to hitting that gap, but we get this lower high, and that creates a pretty sharp move down. I looked at this as a spike in channel, and if you took this first failed second entry long off the trend line but far from the EMA, you would have gotten a scalp out of it. That's all though. Turned out that was the bottom of the channel. So if you saw that, you probably wouldn't take this trade. Probably would have had it. I'm trying to think of how I would have had this drawn. Probably would have had it drawn like that, and that's right into the channel. So anyway, we get a first entry, second entry short. I do like this very much. That confirms that this confirms the channel. But then we get this lower high, and it's a second entry short. I really like that. First entry failed, second entry long, but we got a lot of overlap here. Would have worked out though. We'll get a break of that channel and a first, second entry short. I like that. Yeah, it's aggressive. You'd probably actually have to go short here, which is a little tough to do. We don't know when this move is finishing, so I probably prefer waiting for this to close. First entry failed, second entry long, but that's a bullish signal bar. Don't get anything here. Then if you were watching this live, so we had this move down, and we had a break and another move down, and I measured these two legs, so we got those two measured legs. It actually went a little further of correction, or 2 legs down to a new low after the break of this channel here. And so then we get this congestion, and this just felt like a reversal. So we got a first entry, failed, second entry short. Not a great signal bar, but I entered on this, and it felt like I read it right. So if you didn't jump in there, you got another chance right here. And that's the failed second entry short, and then we get another failure. First entry, failed second entry short. It's a little far from the EMA though. Get a break of that channel. And then we make this, we hit the top of the congestion again. And I looked at this, I said, maybe you would want to treat this like a range and enter on the lower high. It's also a second entry short, but it's just going right into that EMA. Not that the EMA on these range days matters as much, but it's just something to think about. The second entry, failed second entry long comes here. So maybe, I don't know, Mac always says that signal bar doesn't matter as much on failures. So I don't know. I'm wondering if there's more to that. This is just the first entry, unfortunately. If this was a second entry, I would definitely enter on this. Second entry comes here, but we're going into this strong level of support, and I just don't like that. But if you entered there, you had reason to. It's also into the midline of the overnight highs and lows. We get a slight overshoot that leads to a break. First entry, failed second entry long here, or failed second entry short, excuse me. So maybe you would enter on that. But that's what I saw for today. So we'll take a look at my trades. And I think I took 3 trades, I think. 4? Oh, no, I took 4. One of them I didn't like. I think I liked the other 3. One of them I got out of break even because I didn't like it, but I think it ended up working. So here we're in that uptrend to try and fill the gap. And yeah, I used this as my signal bar. Even though we got some overlap here, I like this off the trend line. So I actually entered 1 tick above here, and I just put my stop down here. And yeah, that's a failure. So failed second entry short. And then, I stopped myself at break even here. Oh, yeah, this is just congestive. I like the entry, but it's just congestive. I think probably if I was thinking about this measured move, maybe I would stay in it. I don't know. Here I went short. I mean, this entry's okay. I wish I drew the trend channel off these 2 highs and dragged it here, but that's actually, I would have had it drawn more like steeper like this. So then there's a little more room to scalp out there. And that could be accurate too. We get a break, a lower high, I don't know. But I think more people were probably playing this one. Yeah, second entry short right there. And then, yeah, I like this. I like how I read this. It's a first entry. After the break of this main channel, we get 2 legs down, some congestion, and a reversal off the clear level of support. First entry, failed second entry short. And yeah, I think that's the last trade I took. So I like what I did today. Hopefully I can do that every day next week. Yeah, so this gap, filled the gap and just formed a smaller range. That's what I saw today. So I hope everyone has a good weekend. I'll be back next week.